Alright, back to talk about hand loading for my Tikka T3x light with a stainless barrel. Going to talk about the hand loads I made for it using IMR 7828 SSC, Sierra 95 grain tipped Match Kings, CCI large rifle primers BR2s, which are their bench rest style. And then I had loaded up everything in a Federal case because I really like the Federal Fusion ammo. This stuff shoots really good, so I might as well buy something that shoots good to reload. So first let's talk about some older targets. On this trip I went out, I shot 44 grains and 45 grains. 44 grouped right at an inch, 45 about 2 inches there. A few days later, I loaded up a few more. This is 44 grains of IMR. These are both at 100 yards. This one's shooting 1.75 inches. That one shot 0.8. And then I had two down here that grouped really well. I had a third that failed to fire, which I had mentioned in a previous video. On this trip that I went out, I did fire that again, and it did go off. So for some reason that offset primer strike just didn't set off the round. The reason I bring up these older targets is because it's a reference for what I was expecting to get. Now with the cold bore, these are the first 3 shots I got with 44 grains. I had already shot that day with my AR-15 and I was warmed up. I was shooting 1/2 inch groups with 5 rounds, shooting awesome. So I don't think I'm pulling these triggers. I know that I'm not pulling them that far. I had a real solid rest and real confused why I was shooting like that. I gave it a pass. Maybe I thought maybe it'll foul up a little bit and start shooting better. Here's the second group, 1.8 inches. Still not great, but still not where I want it to be. So those are 44 grain charges. Then I bumped it up to 45. 45, shooting 3-inch spread there. Another 3-inch spread there. Just not shooting good at all. I did bump up to 45.5 only for 3 bullets, and that did shoot well. That's the first time I tried 45.5. I figured more velocity might help stabilize these bullets. My gun has a 1 to 10 twist barrel, and those Sierra tipped Match Kings, they recommend a 1 in 9 or faster twist. So to prove that I wasn't pulling these shots, I shot some factory stuff that I know shoots really well, and I could pull it off. 1-inch group. I have shot this as small as a 1/2 inch, so I mean, it's still shooting good. Why is this so bad? I'm a little confused. I don't think I messed up my reloads. Did the same process as I've always done, and for some reason they were not grouping like they used to. The Lee 243 Winchester full length resizer. Standard way I always measure my powder. I was using this Frankfurt Arsenal digital scale. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it seems to work, especially for my AR-15 loads. I can get them to shoot a 1/2 inch. For some reason, I lost my rounds grouping together. They're just not grouping on this trip, and I don't know why that happened. Taking a look at the brass of my reloads. These are all my reloads here, these 3 rows. These are factory rounds. There's no pressure sign, so that tells me that I wasn't getting low charges, because if you run too little of powder, too low of a charge in your 243s with the heavy bullets, that'll actually create a spike in pressure. And these all have rounded corners still. These ones up top were starting to get a little bit flat. These are my 45.5s, which is pretty close to the max charge they call for anyway. Quick tip, I always write my powder charges in Sharpie on my shells, and then when I tumble them, it takes it right off. Something to note, if you use a silver Sharpie, they're metallic silver, the powder from your tumbling media will actually stick to it, and you have to kind of sand it off. It's kind of a pain. So I'm a little confused. I was using my 20 power scope and just not getting the results I wanted at 100 yards. I'm going to load up more 45.5, see if these can continually group. If I can keep them around at 0.8 inches, that's pretty good, because I did outshoot my factory stuff on this day. So if I can beat out these factory rounds. That's all I'm trying to accomplish, because the reloads have a higher ballistic coefficient. They should fly better for long range shooting, and that's really what I want to do, is just defeat the wind out past 800 yards. So that's what I'm going to do, and we'll check in next time to see how those went.